All right, Saagar, what's on your radar?
Well, I have a confession to make. This is the first story that's excited me in a long time. Covering the pandemic and Trump and Stop the Steal and Capitol riots and the Biden presidency, it's been a real bummer. And I have not felt a pep in my step like this in many months, and it is now thanks to a bunch of Redditors going after the people I despise the most in our society, speculators on Wall Street. By now, I'm sure that you're all familiar with the story. Hedge funds and billionaires took out a massive short position on the company called GameStop. A band of Redditors on a subreddit called Wall Street Bets called their bluff, drove the stock up to the tune of thousands of percentile more to force those hedge funds to liquidate billions of dollars in losses, while the merry band of Redditors gets rich. It's the ultimate David and Goliath story. Underemployed and unemployed, sitting at home in their pajamas, using the power of the internet and new trading platforms like Robinhood to destroy the kings of American finance. We are never going to go back to the old ways of doing business, and Wall Street knows this. So what's their solution? It's one that we, my friends, must resist absolutely at all costs. Now they know that they do not have a monopoly on manipulating the market. They are going to do everything in their power to go after you and people like me who are not on the side of the billionaire elite. As I laid out yesterday, they are already going into overdrive on CNBC, who started off yesterday by inviting the literal CEO of the NASDAQ on to call for more regulation. Let's take a listen to that again.
One of the things that we're talking about is maybe misinformation and pump and dumps, and it's occurring on social media again. It just, I'm wondering whether it's part of the same problem, the type of regulation that we finally need to consider. And like I said, we should always have a light touch with regulation, but you're seeing the way things can get started. Again, this is different. Maybe it's Reddit, maybe it's not Facebook, but you're seeing the same situation. At this point, it's not about an election. It's not about an insurrection, but there are interesting things happening that seem to be spawned to some extent, or at least blown out of proportion by social media again. Adina.
Well, I do think, though, that as we look at these new technologies that are there available to everyone, including investors, I think it's also important for regulators to understand that, manipulation is manipulation, whether it's happening through a new technology medium or it's happening through traditional mail. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that we understand what the behavior is, what's underpinning the behavior, and working appropriately with the regulators to manage the situation.
Yeah, you heard that correctly. The guy from CNBC who hates regulation is now calling for more regulation. And the CEO of the head of one of the largest trading exchanges in the world is agreeing with him. Notice, when hedge funds manipulate markets, when they screw over regular people in different companies, when Wall Street requires billions of dollars in bailouts and floats from the Federal Reserve, there isn't any call for more regulation. But a couple of average Joes on the internet make money at the expense of a billionaire hedge fund. Well, that just can't stand. And I'm not exaggerating here, just showing you one clip. The idea across the American elite right now is that what has happened with GameStop is unacceptable. Don't believe me? Check this out. As GameStop and other stocks soared, Arthur Levitt Jr., he decided to weigh in. And if you don't know who that is, it's the former SEC chairman who literally presided over the dot-com bubble and was appointed by Bill Clinton, who perhaps more than any president is responsible for much of the financialization of our economy beginning in his administration. Levitt wrote an op-ed in Bloomberg calling for a full agency investigation into online stock trading platforms, and said that social media is taking advantage of users' behavioral psychology and pushing them into dangerous territory. Okay, maybe. I don't even really disagree with that. But doesn't it just tell you everything? That this is what they want to investigate now? That this is what they want the government to do something about now? Don't underestimate how mainstream this view is. Yesterday, the White House press secretary said Janet Yellen is, quote, monitoring the situation. Elizabeth Warren tweeted out that we needed more regulation. The state securities regulator for the state of Massachusetts said GameStop trading should be halted for 30 days. And the SEC now says they're working with regulators to assess the situation, review the activities, and other participants. Like I said, hey, maybe that's justified, but you people are silent on the crimes of the actually influential people who rig our economy on a daily basis. You want a near-perfect corollary? Billionaire investor Bill Ackman. He went on CNBC in March 2020 to give an emotional interview to say hell is coming and that hotel stocks would go to zero. His interview sparked a panic sell on Wall Street. It is seen in retrospect as one of the precipitating events of that drop. Guess what? At the exact same time, right after that interview, Ackman was buying billions of dollars in the stock as it hit rock bottom. In fact, he pocketed $2 billion in bets against the market as it was crashing. It was a crash that he helped spawn through his influence, through his media appearance. Call me when the SEC and the media and others actually get upset about that. When Ackman got some bad press, but he still got billions in the bank. Call me when the government does anything about behavior like that happens every single day on the street. Here's the other thing. The elites control the institutions. When millions of people woke up and they saw this story and they checked Wall Street bets on Reddit, they decided, hey, you know what? I want in. And so they decided to try. And the companies themselves decided that they know better. At one point, Robinhood, E-Trade, and TD Ameritrade were all down as the market opened. But TD Ameritrade actually went further than anyone. They decided, you know what? These idiots don't know anything. They decided to block their own customers from trading stocks that were popular on Reddit. Once again, maybe this is justifiable. When's the last time a major trading exchange or a regulatory body or anyone blocked billionaires from executing their crazy gambling schemes? Never. Not once, because they own the exchanges. They reign supreme because they literally control everything. And it turns out that was the beginning of elite collusion. Later in the day, the site Discord, which runs the private chat servers, took down Wall Street Bet's chat forum, claiming that they had violated the terms of service for reasons other than their content, claiming that it had something hateful on there. And then the motherlode, Wall Street Bet subreddit itself, had to take itself private, at least for a short period yesterday, presumably because of threats from the site's admins that they would be unable to moderate the content without running afoul of platform policy. This is oligarchy, using government and private company control to enforce policies which benefit only the elites at the top. It's never been more naked. The good news is that this is just the beginning. Google decentralization. Google democratization of finance. The internet showed us the way, and we can follow it all. And that's the thing, Crystal, which is that, okay, yeah, the SEC, is this all good for society? No, it's not. Speculation is bad. But these people have been speculators and for so long. And if speculators are going to be legal, if it's all going to be legal, then why shouldn't at least the people at the bottom, the little people, actually be able to do it too? But now the SEC is getting involved. They said they're monitoring the situation. The former chairman who presided over the financialization of our economy is like, whoa, you got to investigate this. Everybody on CNBC is calling for regulation. Discord just deplatforms the entire website. Now Robinhood says you can't buy, AMC stock. We'll only allow you to sell it. I mean, there are just TD Ameritrade is jumping in for the good of their customers and all of that.
So noble.
Exactly. Where were you? What were you people? Where's the NASDAQ CEO when her exchange is used on a daily basis with high-frequency trading, which has flash crashed our markets, I don't even know how many times. They don't care. That's all good because they make money on the exchange.
Well, and because those are their people.
That's the thing.
Their class.
They would go bankrupt if they actually did that. When Bill Ackman's scheme, which it's pretty obvious to me, gets investigated by the SEC, you can call me and you can go after the Redditors.
Yeah.
Until then, I don't want to hear it. When is Bloomberg chat going to take down, because on the Bloomberg terminals, it's called IB chat. They can all talk to each other. When they take down the chats and they start monitoring there of all the insider trading and all of the collusion that's happening on a daily basis between the ultra-rich, then you can take down the Discord server.
I've heard there's some hateful speech on there, Saagar.
We're going
to have to look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was maybe the most egregious. I know there were a lot of egregious moments, but when Discord put out, this has nothing to do with GameStop, there's just some naughty language on there we've got to deal with. It's like, oh, really? It's just a pure coincidence that on the day that they're screwing over Wall Street and actually forcing these elites to take it on the chin, that's when you decide to get serious about content moderation. Okay, sure, whatever. But also, think about how this all started and why they decided to go in on GameStop to start with. It's because the hedge funders had shorted 140% of GameStop's stock.
Yeah.
Where's the regulation about that?
Yeah.
Why is that legal? I mean, if you're going to talk about, oh, we need regulation, how come no one in this elite class is mentioning, like, maybe that's not like a really super smart thing to do. Maybe that's not something that should be ultimately legal. Now, I will say, I would bet that these hedge funds think twice about taking those super ultra aggressive positions again because they want to avoid exactly this situation again.
I don't think so.
I think they'll feel like, I do. I actually think it will curb their behavior on the margins because they don't want to be the ones that are all in on, 140% of shorting a company's stock. Like, that was over the top, greedy, and egregious. And that's what made them a target ultimately. Where's the talk of like regulation around that? I didn't hear a word about that yesterday whatsoever.
Melvin Capital required a $3 billion infusion of cash. Now, they say they closed out their position. I don't know if that's true or not. But, I mean, back of the napkin math shows that they maybe lost $10 billion. $10 billion. That's real money. That could actually help people. This is completely crazy. And, yeah, where's the call for regulation on that? Why should that guy be allowed to trade ever again? He basically caused, a bubble in our markets. Where's the SEC? Go ahead and bar him. They're not going to do it. Bill Ackman's out there.
There's all the hand-wringing about, this may not match the fundamentals of the market.
There's no fundamentals.
It's all fake. It's all fake. If we ever have needed a lesson in that, look at during the pandemic when people were getting these headlines, dueling headlines of people losing their jobs, record-breaking unemployment and job loss, and at the same time it's like stock market reaches a new high. The whole damn thing is fake. Give me a break.
Right, and what they want to do is they want to protect their monopoly on the ability to manipulate the market and make money. That's what all this is about. I mean, even with the Discord thing, I saw this great observation. Discord was the ability for Reddit users in order to discuss what their next trades would be in the after-hours moments. Well, so they got deplatformed, and then their subreddit went down while the markets were closed. You think the market's closed for the people at the top? They're not schmucks. They can trade offline. They can put through trades between one another. Their Bloomberg terminals are working just fine. That is literally rigging the markets in their favor. Everything is rigged in their favor. They have servers closer to the NASDAQ for their trades to get there 0.25 seconds before you're in mine so that they can trade off of us and drive our prices marginally up, which means billions of dollars a year more for them. Everything is rigged in their favor, and they're doing everything they possibly can in order to rig it so that we are not able, in order to compete even on the smallest level. That's actually the crazy thing, which is even with Robinhood. Look, all your Robinhood data, it's not actually free. They sell it to other people. That's how they actually make money. Even with this not even advantage, this one ability to compete, they can't even use that. They have to smack it down because any sort of equity, they realize, is a fundamental threat to their entire system. It's a fugazi. It's a fugazi. That's what the whole thing is.
That's exactly what it is. And even one little crack in the facade and the call went out, we got to shut this down.
Shut it down.
Next on Rising, Democratic strategist Andrew Feldman, culture reporter at The Federalist Emily Jashinsky. They're going to join us for the panel. That's when Rising returns.